25 hours a day, 8 days a week, 366 days a year. Yes, you heard that right. rBeatz is committed to making sure your music, your voice is heard around the clock. It's all about inclusivity.
The cultural dance night that we're putting on in October is offering the opportunity to connect at the museum with Latin dance lessons, and Rosa Diaz is giving us an art demonstration, but also going to be welcoming vendors. And because it's Latin Heritage Month, we're focusing on our own Latin American artists in this community. You can have something original for your walls that's from an artist right here.
Yeah, 316. Got game and pulled out his own Atari. I said sorry, I'ma have to pass like Nash to Amari. Tiger up early on a Sunday, sinking birdies while the pigskin spinning through the air, tight and birdie. It's a TD, it's a TKO, a home run, it's a hat trick. Ain't no way to be an all-star without practice. So if you down to sacrifice your life for a draft pick, it's a pretty sweet position. You can live it if you have some things in the air. If you got game, wave like you just don't care. If you got game, playing like you got no fit, and you got game. If you came here to win, yeah, you got game.
Hello again, and welcome to rBeatz.com. And today we're going to be talking about storytelling. And I always, say this all the time, but I've delivered right every time. I find the best guest to come on here and talk about the subject. And today I have somebody that's a master storyteller. She's been in media. I've read for 30 years, but she must have started that when she was like 7 years old in order to do that. But she's been in broadcasting as a radio host, a television host. She's a speaker. She is now also, in addition to that, she has a museum director position, and we'll talk about that as well. Welcome to the show, Ramona Holloway.
Thank you so much for the invitation, Terry.
You're such an icon, such a legend in this, and to have you on, like when I was telling Johnny that you were going to be here, it's like, well, that's intimidating. I was like, no, she's a friend.
Absolutely.
She may be a master at this, but she's a friend, so it's like, I'm new to this.
I work with Terry's wife.
Yes, you do, and I'm going to tell you, you are an answer to prayer. And we talk about, like, this is probably something we should normally talk about off the air, but when that position became vacant, our Sunday school marriage class actually prayed for like 3 weeks about somebody taking that position. And then when we heard, of course, Kermit couldn't say anything for like forever. Yeah. Which led to something I'll tell you a little bit later, but she couldn't say anything about it. So this gigantic prayer had been answered in a way that nobody saw. Like nobody thought, who do we need to take over this museum position? Oh, this person that's been known in radio and TV. She'll be perfect. You wouldn't even think that.
No, I didn't think
so. Juxtapositioning.
And I know this might not be the direction you're going for, but, when I take a look at my story, where I started and where I am now, I say it has to be God. It's the answer to a lot of prayers, because I couldn't have written this myself. I have a great imagination, and this story is nothing that I could have come up with on my own. The people, including your wife. Yeah. I didn't even know those characters to write them in, yet they've become such a beautiful part of my story.
I'll say even with our story, the fact that we're sitting here right now, I always talk about this being the supernova, thing when it comes to projects, because we interview a lot of music artists, and there are these things that happen 15 years in the making to make this great album that people think, that took 6 months to make or whatever.
Right. Overnight sensation.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's not that. The fact of my story and how I met my wife, during the pandemic, which led to this, and your story happening at the same time, all to happen just so we can sit here in front of each other today and hopefully impact somebody's life.
I hope so.
So let's talk about how this even began for you. You can go back as far as you want.
Okay. I'll tell you about the very first radio job.
Okay.
In Nurkahaya. It was at a country and pop combo outside of Columbus, Ohio. And the former general manager of the radio combo came to a little place I was working as an employment consultant. I'd gotten a job at a job agency finding jobs for people, and this guy came in saying that he had just been ousted, that the sales manager at the radio station he was managing had staged a coup and gotten him booted, and that a bunch of staff left with him because they loved him so much. But now he was looking for another job. And I had learned enough as a job counselor helping other people find jobs that I knew there was an opportunity there. So the minute that guy left, I called that sales manager and told him that I wanted to work for him and gave him a couple of times that I was available to come for interviews. And that started my career.
Wow.
And I started in sales. And when the news guy got a job, I told the manager, hey, I'll do sales and news. And that led to me getting into news and then finding out that being a news director at a station in Columbus, Ohio was fantastic because, once again, I love telling stories, and that's what news is. However, it took one awful story of covering a triple murder that was committed by a mom against her 3 children. It took me going out to that crime scene to interview the crying neighbors to know that I didn't want to do that type of storytelling for the rest of my life, and that I wanted to be on the other side of radio, the part where the stories were more uplifting and funny.
And that's what you were known for, is comedy. I mean, that's a big part of what you do. So it did surprise me that's how things started out. But, a lot of times when we're put into something, we not only learn what we like, we definitely learn what we don't like. And sometimes, pain is more motivating than happiness.
It sure is. And I can tell you that while I was doing news, I did enjoy it. I do like writing news and telling stories, but you get into this murders, accidents, fire, scandals thing, and your lottery numbers. Yeah. And for me, as a person who kind of feels the world, I wear the world on my heart, my heart on my sleeve rather, and it was draining. Like, okay, here are your murders and accidents and fires for the day. I'm not going to tell you that 1 million people made it home safely today. 1 million people within the sound of my voice on this radio made it home safely. I'm only going to tell you about that one guy on 85, So I'm thankful that I had the opportunity to make that turn once I left Columbus and went to Indianapolis because, moving around in radio, definitely a thing.
You get moved around.
To make more money and to get to the coveted morning show in the big city. But when I moved to Indianapolis, I was able to cross into doing some comedy there. And then from Indianapolis to Virginia Beach, where I was just a little bit news and a lot of comedy. And then once my partner Matt and I were recruited from Virginia Beach to come to Charlotte, we were an entertainment show. And we were recruited as a team to balance out their morning show. Their morning show was insanely popular, Bob and Sherry, syndicated.
Yeah.
And the plan was...
Guys. They've helped me on a couple things. I really like them.
The plan was that there would be an afternoon show to balance Bob and Sherry, and that we would be syndicated as well. And that was super attractive to me because when we were doing mornings in Virginia Beach, we were at that 18 to 34 station.
And you were together already.
Right, we were already. We had worked together in Columbus, but he was on the morning show.
Got you.
And I was in the newsroom.
Okay.
And I started doing some of those wacky news stories with the morning show, and that's kind of where I figured out these guys are having a lot of fun, and I'm going back to the news hole to talk about more accidents and murders and fires.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, when I first heard the show, because, like I said, Bob and Sherry, they had helped me with a song. There was a song that was out, and there was a tragedy that had taken place. I didn't really even know him. All of a sudden, Bob got the idea to put this song on, which was a song we had sent to gospel radio. It wasn't even, I don't even know how they got it. Mm-hmm. Maybe the group or the record label sent it to them. And this tragedy took place, and they put this song on. And I didn't realize the healing power of the music we were doing until I saw how people reacted to this. So that gave me a loyalty, to them because I saw they were really doing good with their show. So then I'm listening, but I'm listening in a time that, I'm not normally listening to the radio. And all of a sudden I hear you guys, I'm like, did they replace Bob and Sherry? And then I found out, no. I was like, so they're going to do something like that, but they're going to put it in the afternoon.
Right.
So this must really be working. You know, if they're adding it. And this show is really good that they have in the afternoon.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We were told that we would be the second banana. Like, we'll pay you well, but you will not be the morning show. You will not be the premiere show. And I saw what they were offering, and I saw that I no longer had to wake up at 3:45 in the morning, and I was like, yes!
The dreaded morning show life, yeah. Yeah, that was really early. And, you know, they're both drive time shows. Mm-hmm. You know, one you're driving to work, the other you're coming home, or you're taking your kids to school, and
or practice for this, that, and the other.
So, well, one part of that, we kind of discussed this, you know, a little bit off the show, but with that time frame, what happens is you're also in front of the kids who grow up, you know, and it's like the same thing works in music. You know, you're building that next wave of what happens. That you saw that affect what you're doing.
I see it now. I see it all the time when I am out in the community and I meet people in their 20s and early 30s who say, hey, I used to listen to you in the car with my mom when she was picking me up from school, when she was taking me to soccer practice. And it makes me feel good because that says the moms trusted us.
Yeah.
And that also says that we gave the moms something that they enjoyed at a time when there was not a lot to do. I mean, you could talk on your phone, but podcasts weren't really available in cars like they are now. There was no Spotify, and most people didn't have satellite radio.
Right.
So
it was a different time for sure.
We had you.
Yeah.
If you were listening to the radio, we felt that we could take you away from a song that you might not like on another station, and we could offer you something talk-wise that you couldn't get anywhere else. And that was the beauty of what we did is, you know, there were other people who tried to put in afternoon shows to take us down. But what they tried to do was put on another Matt and Ramona. No.
Yeah, instead of something.
You have to find people who have their own chemistry and can do their own thing. You can't say, okay, we need a black woman from New Jersey and a white guy from Philly. Go. You know, we need a conservative guy and a liberal woman. Go. I mean,
it's the corporate way of thinking. And
right.
We'll get into that a little bit later and the advantages of some, you know, modern marketing and also broadcasting, I guess you would say. But the thing is there's such a scarcity mentality in that. They're thinking that if somebody else has an audience, then we have less of an audience. And you know how many people there are in this nation? You know how many people there are in this state? And then you think how many people there are in this city alone. And there's so much room for so many people, and yet everybody is always thinking that somebody has taken something from them. It is a corporate way. You know, I have friends that work in that corporate structure, and you know, I'm not trying to, let's say, belittle that, but at the same time, there's some new things happening, and people understand that you're building your tribe. And even if some other people even speak to your tribe, it causes things to grow. It doesn't cause them to diminish. And so that's of the past, I feel, the scarcity mentality.
I absolutely believe you, because really, you can thank radio for that. Once radio became so corporate that we were programming, okay, we found out that people listen for an average of 20 minutes. So every 27 minutes, we're going to play the number one song. So if you're in the car for any length of time, it's like, okay, I've heard Taylor Swift like 7 times stuck in traffic. And then they said, well, talk less. People don't want to hear this. And so then
all the focus groups.
There were all the focus groups making these big decisions for people to chase the ratings. Well, if you did want to hear talk, if I wanted to hear Terry, you couldn't get a show on the radio.
Right.
So then podcasting grew because there are people who want to hear the stories. They want to hear a different opinion, or they want to hear a more creative take on their own opinion. They want someone to relate to. And so
relating, that's a big deal.
Yeah. So then podcasts grew out of that need for people to hear what they weren't getting, because I think and I say we as in the radio industry that I was in, chased people away by trying to hone in on that one person, chasing the ratings instead of focusing on the people, the community, the personalities that have the relationships that create a loyal audience.
It's changed so much because even in the music industry, which I'm from, and there were gatekeepers. There still are some, and I have no hate, for the gatekeepers. Again, I just like more innovative thinking, but I saw that we had to cater to certain things, and you had to get this out, and you sign with this record company, and they have control of this, and you have to have, this booking agent come in. As a manager, I have to say that made my life easy because I knew the specific people to go to, and then of course it changed. But now you have so much opportunity, no matter what you do. You have social media that you can, put your own stuff out of and build your own tribe, like we're talking about. And storytelling is so important. I always tell people that when it comes to being on a talk show, because I've had people on everything from Oprah to TLC and everything, as a consultant or as a manager. And in that, it's never how great your music is. It's what do you have to say when you go sit in the chair? What kind of story do you bring? And I also have a background, I know, in professional wrestling, but it was never the match that the people bought the tickets for. It was that build up to the match.
Right.
Or when you're watching
those
reality.
Big personalities.
Right. American Idol. It's never just that song. It's where did they come from? What's the story behind? What's happening to their parent? And, this is a thing that you are great at. I mean, you've spent years, sharing your life through these heartfelt stories. You've become great at storytelling. How would I put this? What do you find the most effective element of storytelling that works for you?
Vulnerability.
That's a great one.
The ability to tell a story where I am the victim and the hero. The story where I'm the villain who learns her lesson. I think when I am at my vulnerable best, sharing those things that most people would prefer not to share. Because kind of like with social media, everybody's putting their best self out.
Yeah, it's the highlight reel, as they say.
You said something that I have told people for many years about who becomes an A-list actor or actress. It's not necessarily about who is the most beautiful, even though, because there are a lot of beautiful people in the world. It's not even necessarily about who is the best actor or actress. When they sit in that chair, when it's time to get in front of the microphone or get on TV and be interviewed by Terry or Dave or Oprah, and they can bring a really funny story about something that happened on the set or something that happened in their real life that makes them relatable and it gets people excited about their project, that's the star.
Oh, it used to be the water cooler talk, and now it's on your phone and you're showing to everybody. And a big thing with algorithms is sharing, through DMs. And when you have something that's so interesting, that moment on that show that people can share through the DMs, it blows up. It's, it's just a lot different situation than it used to be. You also did television hosting. Was it Good Day Charlotte? Correct?
It was Charlotte. We did. Well, first Matt and I got hired for. It was Fox News Edge.
Okay.
What was the Fox affiliate did a night show, and their host had left, and they came to us and said, "We need you. Would you do this show?" So we did that for 2 years, and then we found that the 2 jobs was a lot, because that meant working our afternoon show and then with the night show that didn't start until 10:30.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't getting home until 11:45. Couldn't wind down until close to 2 o'clock in the morning.
It's not just the show that you're on. It's all the prep work.
All the prep.
Yeah.
And then with TV, you got hair and makeup and clothes. And also there's increased demand for your time, with people pitching you to be on that show and pitching you for projects outside of the show in the community to help out charities.
Right.
And so we took 2 years off, and then they asked us to come back again. So we did News Edge again. And then I took a job doing Charlotte Today, which was an afternoon show. It was on from 11 to 12, so I could get up, still have my coffee at my house, get dressed up, go do the TV show, go home for lunch, and then head over to the radio show.
Yeah, well.
But I have to say, I enjoyed TV, but radio is my first love because it was so immediate. Like TV, to change course in TV, there's so many layers. Okay, you got this camera guy, and you got to get Matt and I had amazing producers in Carrie Duck Bowser and Brent Bandy Blue O'Brien, and we could switch on a moment's notice. We could take your phone call and make you a part of the show in seconds. And that immediacy, that ability to have the back and forth with the audience, I loved that.
Well, this is the thing that I think makes you interesting in the community as well. It also makes you work really well in a modern era. I've seen a lot of people in radio that are friends of mine that are trying now with the transition. They're trying to get into podcasting or some form, of it, and it just doesn't look the same. They are still standing there like this, and it's just the camera shot is the same the whole time, where you're very animated. You know how to use your body in it, and use your facial expressions, which I guess is maybe because of the TV thing, or did you have that before you got in it? Is it just who you are?
It's who I am. However, the part of TV, one of the reasons why radio is my first love is because your facial expressions are just what they are. And in TV, I found there were times when I was interviewing someone and I was really struggling with my face. Like, that person who made that collard green wrap in the Charlotte Today kitchen, whoa, that was not tasty, but I am, I'm struggling here, Lord. And so I found that for me, because I am so animated and because my face does not lie. It's very difficult. I call it my facial expression management disorder. So when you're telling me, we have these lovely collard greens, we gonna cook them? Nope, we're just gonna we're gonna roll them up and we're gonna put some hummus inside and put some lemon juice on it and eat it. It's gonna be really healthy and delicious. And I'm thinking, no, it's not. I know what collard greens taste like. You gotta cook them. You gotta season them. And so my face, it was hard. And then I struggled with, on TV, what to do with my hands. Like
Ricky Bobby. Like that movie, Talladega Nights.
So I always had a pen or something, because so at least it was a crutch for me, because I needed something so my hands would know what to do.
And it's like now in this new environment, you can just relax. I always tell people to come in, it's just like being at a coffee shop.
Yeah.
We're just talking like we do. Just do your thing. And then it just happens that we had cameras on all sides of us. But, it still really is. I mean, it's so laid back. It's such a different thing. I do have the pressure of the clock. Sometimes I have to, I'll look at that and I know when to count it. But other than that, I know that nobody's about to yell at me at the end of this segment or, so those type of things.
Let me tell you, one day when we had switched to mornings, in 2020, the company I worked for sold us to another company, and the new boss had a 3-minute and 28-second rule. So when we were switched to mornings, and we had 3 minutes and 28 seconds. And one morning, in the middle of the show, the new boss walks in and he tells the new producer to tell us that we went about 16 seconds over, and next time we get to 3 minutes and probably 18 seconds, he needs to give us a sign that we need to wrap it up. In the middle of the show, and we're sitting right there, and he walked right past us. Hey, let me tell you what I want you to tell them to do. And we're like, what the heck? What the heck? But then in the next breath, it was, hey, when you guys get to the end of the segment, it sounds like you're rushing. Slow down. And also make sure you tell
for your
people
heart rate to speed
the
it up
weather,
and slow it down
the
like
time, and also what station they're listening to in the contest. So now we're down to like a minute and 10 seconds for content. And you don't want us to rush. Okay. All righty. All right. Sure. This is going to sound wonderful. Very engaging. It was, for me, it took a lot of the joy out of it.
Well, I know you're used to this, but we're going to take a short break to hear from our sponsors and our friends. And should I say it like, we're going to take a short break to hear from our sponsors and our friends.
Yay,
we'll
sponsors
right
and
back.
friends!
But actually, when we come back, we're going to talk about your new position that has changed my life because my home life is very happy now.
Ooh, and I have a message from you. A message for you from home.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm going to share that.
She's been texting me all the way here. But, and also, I want to talk about your beautiful mother.
Oh.
And your work since,
Thank you, because that is my true heart.
Yes, so we definitely want to talk about that, and we'll do that right after this. So stay tuned. In the studio with Ramona Holloway, an angel sent straight from heaven to make our lives better. We'll be right back after this.
Hey everyone, if you're like me, music isn't just background noise, it's the soundtrack to our lives, pumping energy into our everyday moments and helping us feel, well, more alive. Today I'm excited to talk about something that's revolutionizing the way we experience music. rBeatz Radio. Created in 2012 by a diverse group of artists, songwriters, and musicians, rBeatz isn't your ordinary radio station. It's a universal, unique, boutique internet radio and media streaming service that's all about simplicity and inclusivity. Whether you're an artist looking to share your tunes or a listener craving new beats, rBeatz is here to amplify your experience. Now picture this. You're grabbing a 6-pack or 12-pack of radio streams, tuning in, and discovering music that's played non-stop. 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, 366 days a year. Yes, you heard that right. rBeatz is committed to making sure your music, your voice is heard around the clock. Their mission? To provide a platform where all musical and artistic talent can shine. They keep it simple. KISS, or keep it simple sweet, with an open book policy that welcomes all creators. And the vision? It's all about inclusivity. rBeatz welcomes the most discerning listeners as well as the non-discerning ones, making it a hub for music discovery and media enthusiasts everywhere. As a member of ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, Sound Exchange, and Popology, rBeatz stands as a proud advocate and supporter of artists and musicians. By tuning into rBeatz, you're not just listening to music, you're supporting an entire community of independent musicians and artists from all over the world. So what are you waiting for? Whether you're here to listen, read, watch, or support, rBeatz is your gateway to the future of music. Join the rBeatz radio revolution. Let's make the world listen. The future of music is now, and it's waiting for you. Remember, less is always more with rBeatz. Tune in, turn up the volume, and let's change the way we experience music together.
Welcome back to this week's segment of What's Trending Now on rBeatz Radio, Media, and Streaming Network. Take it away, Greasy. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. And now let's get started on our upcoming local, national, and international concerts. Starting off with the electronic artist Bunt, going on his The Greater Round Tour, taking place at Black Box Charlotte on Tuesday, September 16th. Doors open at 8 p.m. You can get your tickets at blackboxcharlotte.com. Greasy, ever been to Black Box?
You know, I haven't had the pleasure of being there yet, but I heard some great ones. Check out a good show.
Let's get a performance going right there. Calling all Katy Cats. Katy Perry is headed to the Madison Square Garden for her Lifetime tour, taking place on Monday, August 11th. Doors open at 7 p.m. You can get your tickets at msg.com. Greasy, what's your favorite Katy Perry song?
My favorite Katy Perry song has got to be Chained to the Rhythm. That's a guilty pleasure.
A classic bop, indeed. Chaperone is headed to the Rose Bowl Stadium in California for her pop-up show, Visions of Damsels and Other Dangerous Things, taking place on Friday, October 10th. Doors open at 4:30 p.m. You can get your tickets at rosebowlstadium.com. Greasy, when's your next performance?
You know, I'm going to be all week long in Kannapolis at the Atrium Health Ballpark playing for the Kannapolis Cannonballers baseball team.
Go check them out. This is Annalise Pearl and Greasy Keys bring you all the new details and latest trending water cooler conversations. Stay on top of the rBeatz and rBeatz app, always bringing you the best independent national and international music artists. Constant influences are on the rBeatz app. Y'all know the drill. Now let's get started with this week's DJ World Beats top trending songs. Spinning now on 25.8 366, our global pop stream, DJ World Beats brings you Bad by Dylan, The Contract by 21 Pilots, and trending now on rBeatz Radio, our house and EDM stream, we have Tape on My Lips by Mayella, Pick Up the Phone by Sophie Tucker featuring No No, High on Me by Rossi and Jazzy. Coming up on We Global Radio, our hip hop and R&B stream, we have Suzanne by Ray and Mark Ronson, Pretty Girl Perks by Carly, Fire and Dolly by Bombay Mami, Keeping It Going and Everywhere by Too Short featuring Holiday. And stepping up on the main stage on our Spotify playlist Only Bangers Hits Different, we have Is Everybody Having Fun by John Summit featuring Gorgon City. Closing out on USA Heroes, our classic rock and country station, we have Brunette by Sierra the Rapper, Ghost Town by Willie Tate, Walkin' on the Edge by Sons of Legend, Monsters by James Blunt. And that concludes this week's countdown. Be sure to check out our social media sensation show, What's Trending Now, and be sure to check out the watch list with Greasy Keys right here on rbeatz.com. That's it for now. Take it away, Greasy. Thank y'all for watching.
And we're back. And surprisingly, Ramona is still here. I didn't chase her away. She's still in the studio with me. So we've had fun talking about the media and your legendary career there. And then this thing happened. My wife works at a museum. And they had a director that left that museum. And then there was like this big search. And it seemed like people from all over were applying for this position. And it went for a while. I thought, okay, well, they're really serious about who they're going to get on this. Then your name comes into the picture. Nobody saw that coming. And of course, my wife had to sit on that news forever, it felt like, because they were getting everything solid and they had this planned announcement, that they were going to do. And it was you. And I'm like, what the heck?
Me too. What the heck?
Like, how did this happen? This is the perfect person for this, because that's, I don't know how it is in a lot of cities, but growing up, I always thought museums were very kind of stoic, even though I'm a super art fan.
Same.
Super art fan. And so I would be the guy that would go there and I would, stare at paintings forever and look at the frames, look at the brush strokes. I'm
Every
there
part
forever
of it.
at all these museums. Here in Charlotte, we have this museum called the Mint Museum. It has 2 locations, and they're anything but stoic. They have these great events. Their exhibits are always just so powerful and amazing, and you can get lost in those rooms.
Kerma has
forever.
taught you well, sir.
You know what?
Your wife has educated
promoting the museum,
you.
but I really believed in this museum. That's
Yes,
like, even
I do
when I
too.
met her, I don't know if you know, but I met her on OkCupid, right? And it's in the time of the pandemic, and I don't even know, I didn't know what she did or anything, and I was a fan of the museum way before that. And then we finally meet, and she finally tells me that, this is where she works. I'm like,
wow.
so there's a God. But anyway, so you come into the picture, and the two of you together, the fun that it has brought to social media, to the live events. I mean, they already had, of course, you got these amazing people. I had Clayton on as well. Love Clayton. What a marketing pro this guy is. And so, forefront, and he just understands.
I call him the mayor of the Mint.
He's almost getting to be the mayor of Charlotte. He's, he's involved in so much. But so there are these personalities at the museum, and you come in, not only do you fit perfectly, even though it just seemed like out of nowhere, and I don't even know how this is going to work, but you fit perfectly, and then you take it up, even another notch. So how did this happen?
Thank you for believing that I'm taking it up a notch, because every day I walk in there, I feel like I do not know what I'm doing. And your wife is so incredibly patient with me, because I did 30 years in radio, telling stories. I figured if the zombie apocalypse happened, I was going to be food for the tribe, because I had nothing to offer the tribe except for some shout outs. I've never done a PowerPoint presentation in my life. Like, I'm not an artist in the classical sense. I'm just like you, an art lover. And I met your wife when she was actually doing a poem during a program I was volunteering for at the Mint. So I didn't expect this at all. And I feel every day like I'm still learning. I started back in April, and every day I learn a new word or learn about a new artist or a new event that is planned, a new exhibition that's coming up. And what's beautiful is that I get to work with people who want nothing more than to make sure this community has the opportunity to connect and heal through the power of art.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like, we create community around these pieces of art created oftentimes by people who are working through the very same issues that we're working through. They're having the same celebrations of life that we are. They're enjoying nature and other people the same way we are, and they're putting it into their art.
And a lot of times they're thinking they're alone, and then they realize after all these people come see it, that it's the familiarity
Right.
of what they're going through. Everybody's always going through something. There's so many people that connect. First of all, speaking of that, you can thank me personally because Kerma will tell you she thinks God sent me into her life just to teach her patience. So evidently, I have done my job because she's had to be patient with me.
In one way, I warned Kerma that I'm a very messy adult human. Like I if there's something to be spilled or knocked over or stained, you can blame me. And she was like, "Oh, you are my husband."
Yeah. Did you get those texts with a picture of the counter where there's a drip of coffee? You get those as well.
So it's just been such an amazing ride. And I was at an event recently, and someone said, "How did you wind up at the Met?" I was like, it had to be God, because I didn't imagine myself there. But now that I'm there, I am thankful every day I walk through those doors, and I work in a space that's stunning.
Yeah.
And just when I think it can't get better, then they take out the old stuff that I was excited about, and they bring in more exciting stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
And
wow.
And I could spend a whole show just talking about the staff there, like Cynthia, of course, Todd,
Yes.
head of it all. They're just amazing people. And,
Yeah.
the curators, that's one show I want to do. I want to do a show with the curators as well, because the process that they go through just to find these things and put it together. And sometimes I see the walls before they come in, and these exhibits that they build, it's high end,
Yes.
best of the best when they bring these things in.
The way these items that are worth sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars are even shipped, packed, and hung.
Oh yeah,
That in and of itself is art.
just like those screens with the Annie Leibovitz exhibit are so amazing.
Yeah.
Not even counting the art. Her photographs, of course, legendary and powerful. But then they add these screens. And just the view of that looks like something you would see in a movie.
After that rolls out, something else amazing rolls in.
Yeah, and it is a powerful place. So in that, your position is the Director of Community Relations and Civic Engagement.
Yes.
Which we all know you do civic engagement. You've been doing civic engagement forever.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah. So in that, what exhibits do you have coming up? That maybe
one of the exhibits that we have coming up this fall is Future Now. It is a sneakers exhibition.
Yes.
And I'm
That's
already
gonna be
shopping
huge.
for some hot sneakers.
Oh, it's going to be huge.
But these are sneakers from across the globe. And then we also have some concept sneakers. Like if you are old enough to remember the movie Back to the Future with the self-lacing sneakers, those exist now. And sustainable materials and futuristic fashion, and then nodding to the old school Air Jordans. And, the sneaker culture is...
so many great collectors.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so this is only the third time that this exhibition, second in the U.S., the second time, and it's coming to Charlotte to Randolph Road. And we are going to have sneaker battles, sneaker strolls, lacing exhibitions. We're going to have design programs for kids, and also introducing the children to what it takes to have your own brand.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at a generation of children who can go from designing something in their living room and taking it to social media and getting brand attention.
Yes.
Before they leave high school.
Happened
so
many times.
Educating these future artists is also what we've got planned. So in the learning and engagement department, I'm excited about what we can do, because your wife and I get to be the arms of the museum that wrap around the kids and some of the underserved communities and the seniors. And we get to reach out to the Latin American population, and we get to reach out to the single ladies who are looking for something to do for women who are over 40, who still want to have a social life. I mean, we are trying all kinds of things to create community inside of that museum around some exhibitions that are absolutely stunning.
Yeah, and like I said, it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
I just know tiny bits about it.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be powerful, and it's
okay. I've already bought one pair of sneakers. Okay, I am looking for another pair, but I already
You're not
bought
allowed to hang around Kerma, because she's got more than a few pair at home already. All she needs is one more shoe. So we can edit that part out so she never hears it.
We're not going to edit out the part about you getting your wife a dog. It's time for Terry and Kerma to have a fur baby of their own.
And she sees your posts. And, of course, you've been, helping the rescue movement for quite a while. And she'll look at those and she'll say, what about this? And I was like, Kerma, to be a dog owner, sometimes you have to be home. And as you know, she's had a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I do want that, but I want it at a time where she can actually be there, and we don't have to have a dog nanny that bonds with the dog, way more than the owner.
Okay, we'll work on you.
But yeah,
I know.
We'll
work on you.
She's been working on me a while. I hear it every morning at breakfast.
I know a fantastic dog nanny for you.
Okay, well we will look at this, as I say, on the air to save face in front. Anyway, no, I know it's a real thing, and I know it'll make her
2026
so happy.
is your fur baby
That's
year.
That's what she says. She says the same thing.
I learned it from
2026.
her.
I didn't know if you taught her that or if it was something she brought up. So now we switch the subject. Anyway, speaking of the Met, and speaking of movement, moving into 26, but let's just call it Meant to Move. That's like the biggest dance party in Charlotte, and you guys put that on.
Yes, we do.
And if people have never been to that, oh my God.
Let me tell you, your wife is the heart and soul of Meant to Move. The cultural dance night that we're putting on in October is, I believe, going to take us in a more helpful direction. Because not only are we offering the opportunity to connect at the museum with Latin dance lessons, and Rosa Diaz is giving us an art demonstration, but we are also going to be welcoming vendors.
Yes, I've heard
to
this.
Sell their original art at the Mint during Cultural Dance
Big
Night.
Opportunity for them.
And because it's Latin Heritage Month, we're focusing on our own Latin American artists in this community. So before you go to a festival or fair somewhere else and buy something, before you go to the discount store and pay $30-$40 for a picture, you can have something original for your walls that's from an artist right here. So we're giving artists here more exposure and giving our community a great place to celebrate Latin Heritage Month with music and dance and art.
Yeah, that has always been such a great event. I mean, so well attended. It's hundreds of people that are there, but now you're highlighting, local artists at that. And that's something that's not been there before, so it's brand new to this event, and it'll be really cool. Now, we're talking about attendees and how many are there. Whether you have this, you do speaking engagements, all that. What is something that you want your attendees of your next event or maybe your engagements? What do you want them to walk away with about Ramona?
I want them to walk away knowing that everything I have done up to this point was not done alone. I had a God guiding me, and I have a network of, in my case, fairy god mentors and friends and family who have lifted me up. And since I have moved so much for my career, family has not always been a part of the picture. So it has really been my community. So when you come to an event and I'm a part of it, I want you to walk away knowing that it's not just me. It's a lot of people coming together to do good. And just like I'm doing this over here, you can do it over there.
Right.
Because the more good we put in, the more good we are able to take away from it. And I talk about the part about not doing it alone because I think so many artists, because my stories bubble up in my head when I'm by myself, when I'm in the shower, when I'm in my car. Like, I'm gonna tell a story about, or I know how this can be funny, or I can't wait to tell somebody about this. But when shared, that's when it really takes flight. But when you have something, whether it's a story that you've written, a poem in the case of your wife, a song in your case, a picture, a dance solo, sometimes it's scary to put it out there. But just know that when you invite others in, when you're vulnerable enough to say, look at this, I want to share this with you, that's how it grows.
Yeah.
Asking for help in promoting it, asking for help in being a part of it. You know, after you finish the song, asking for someone to share it, asking for advice on how to get it into the hands of other people. I mean, that's where community grows.
Yeah, quit taking this great art to the grave.
Right.
You know, this is something you were given that gift to share. You weren't given that gift to keep.
And now when I put something on, especially now when I put something on social media, whether it's a post I'm doing for the Mint or something I'm just doing to be goofy or brag on my puppies or shedding light on dementia awareness, I don't care if one person likes it or a million people like it. I'm putting it out there to connect.
Yeah.
And when I let go of the expectations, when I let go of the expectations, I can just put it out there. When I put it out there with expectations, then I limit myself. I start gatekeeping my own art. And that's what leads to those feelings like, oh, my art doesn't make a difference.
Comparison and adequacy and all that does not matter.
If
so many people
person,
need you. So many people need you.
Right. If one person gets you, you've made a difference because every single life matters.
They absolutely do. And, you know, with that, you're known for your work with nonprofits. But there's a specific one that's dear to your heart. Yes. And it has to do with your beautiful mother, which, you know, she was well known because you were putting her out there before any of this stuff happened. And first of all, let's talk about her nickname.
Weezy.
Yep. And so let's talk about Weezy. And tell a story of your mother and then how it got you involved into this.
My mom was my best friend. We were a dynamic duo. She was a single mom. So I grew up in New Jersey away from my hometown in Oberlin. So she created a community for us in New Jersey. And then thankfully, she taught me that. She taught me that service was important, that when you get to a community, you look for a way to make that community better. And I was able to bring that to every station I worked for. And it became a part of my brand, giving back. And then when she came to Charlotte, it was after she'd had a back surgery. She was still in Ohio. And as an only child who was single, I told her, either you move to Charlotte or you move to assisted living. Those are your choices. And she moved here reluctantly. She moved to Charlotte reluctantly. But as I found a way to incorporate her into the show, as she found a church and began to serve in her sorority, Phi Delta Kappa, which is a sorority for a historically Black sorority for teachers, she began to have her own community. And then on the show, she started to have her own audience. And
she was funny on the show.
So interesting is that my mom could say things on the air that Matt and I couldn't get away with because she was a senior citizen. I mean, and she called herself America's favorite
gold.
cougar.
Yeah,
it was
right.
gold. It was gold. But the odd part for me, as the daughter of a woman who would later be diagnosed with dementia, the conservative Sunday school teacher, conservative French and Spanish teacher who ran a very tight ship at school and at home, became this woman who thought she was sexy and rich and popular. And the more her dementia progressed, the more she became someone I absolutely did not know. Yeah. And at the beginning, it was very confusing and overwhelming because at home, I had this person who, I remember one day saying, "Do I have to get a babysitter to watch you while I'm at work?" And then I heard myself. And that was the beginning of a tough time of being at odds with myself. Because on one hand, he was my best friend and my very first mentor and leader, who was someone who I could no longer trust, who had been a part of the show.
Through no fault of their own.
Right. Well, no, that was part of my anger because I watched her be sedentary. I watched her mismanage her diabetes. I watched her hold out a plate of pie to my nephew's mom while my nephew's mom waved her hand over it and spiritually removed the sugar so that she could eat it. So I was angry because I felt like we could have managed it better and we wouldn't be here. But then I had to realize it was not about me. She had lived her life to the best of her ability. And now in order for me to live mine, I had to find a way to relinquish my ego that said, that's my leader, that's my mom, that's my job, that's my, to say, all right, I'm facing some things here that I completely don't understand, and I am completely overwhelmed. At that point, dementia taught me the best lessons about letting go, about staying in my lane as to what I could affect and control, and about allowing people to believe, giving them the dignity to believe what they need to believe. And that's why I continue to work in this space, because once I was able, with help once again, to let go, I was able to be my mother's mother without telling her, I am paying all the bills here. My expectations are. I was able to not get mad about the things she was doing. I was able to let go of the frustration because she was frustrated too. And she couldn't help it.
Yeah.
And I was able to be more empathetic, not just with her, but with myself, because this was something that I could not fix. The doctor's appointments for the asthma and the high blood pressure and the diabetes and the back problems and there was a point where you just can't fix them anymore. Getting to that point was difficult for me. So I work in this space to help other people entering this space and in this space find hope and some solutions to the challenges in dementia care.
You even, I believe, you've gone to the capitals.
I went to Washington, D.C. I put on my purple outfit and went to Washington and had meetings with the offices of 4 different state representatives, and one of our state senators. Didn't meet with any of them personally, but met with their staff to let them know that we see the senior tsunami coming. For some of us, it already hit hard, and in order to be able to support people who are still working, because most of the caregivers I know still have jobs.
Yeah.
Some of them are still caring for teenage children. They still have husbands. They have homes. The care of someone with dementia becomes a 24-hour-a-day position. And for me, there was a point that I had to recognize that the help that she needed was above what I could offer.
Well, I know people want to bring you in to speak about this.
I do speak about it.
Yeah.
I am active with the Alzheimer's Association on their board. I try to do my best on a one-on-one basis to mentor caregivers, because there are things that happen during dementia care that are absolutely baffling. Sundowners is something that a lot of people with dementia, and I put Alzheimer's in. Alzheimer's is a form of dementia, so I'm talking about Alzheimer's too, where around 2:00 in the afternoon, the brain just goes haywire, and sometimes they get very, very agitated, and sometimes they get violent. That's stuff that a lot of people don't want to talk about publicly. My mom tried to kill me. That happened to a friend of mine. Her mom literally tried to murder her because she didn't know who she was.
Right.
My mom didn't know who I was after a while. She, I think, thought I was a maid, perhaps. She knew that I was someone who did stuff for her. But I was, I think, too old to be the daughter of a young, sexy woman like her.
Well, yeah, my dad went through similar things. So how do they find, what's your website for them to go to?
RamonaHolloway.com. If you would like to contact me for an event, for speaking, for programs around dementia care, absolutely reach out. At the Mint Museum, Ramona.Holloway@mintmuseum.org. Kerma, that's Terry's wife, and I are doing some amazing things in this community. We have big hopes for sharing the Mint Museum with this community.
And she loves you. I know that for sure.
It's the feeling's mutual, because I was going to, when I found out that we were going to be doing this today and that we had gotten the okay for vendors to come join us for Mint to Move Cultural Dance Night, I was like, oh, we'll be able to talk about the vendors. Honey, Kerma had all the vendors lined up within 7 minutes. She's amazing.
She is. And there's so much to you. I want to thank you for being here. And, it was so great to have you on today. And we will be talking again soon about other things. So. And thank you for tuning in once again here in the rBeatz studio. Tell your friends, tune into the other shows. Let them know the guy with the pointy hair, he has some things to say. He has some great guests. So again, as I always say, much love. See you next time.